Making a Dollar Tree mesh wreath. Here's the thing. Many people think it's going to be cheaper to make a Dollar Tree mesh wreath. And if you don't want it to be super full, sure, it might be. But this roll that I got for $5 at Michael's with a sale, because I think it's 10 normally, but I usually use a 50% off coupon, wait till they're on sale. This is a 10-inch long mesh. This was $5. And I would use 2 of these to make a wreath. But now here I am with thinner, much smaller, slightly different quality mesh from the Dollar Tree, which is totally usable, but I'm going to use 11 rolls about. It comes to a little less than 11 rolls, but I always want to make sure I have enough. I like my wreaths to be full, so even if it's Dollar Tree mesh, I am going to make sure it's full. This is a Dollar Tree mesh wreath, and I did not put my ribbons or sign on it yet, but at least I had an example to show you what it's gonna look like. These are, the silver are little curls in between. I think I'm gonna do little crinkles, little ruffles in between the one I'm making now. So I always decide how I'm gonna make my wreath. First, by picking out my sign. So my main wreath is gonna be lavender. I'm gonna fill it in with lavender and pink. Okay, so here we go. Dollar Tree frame, Dollar Tree mesh. I have 11 rolls. And I have my pipe cleaners, which you can also get at the Dollar Tree. Now, I am very basic. I am crafting on the floor of my living room. I don't have a fancy craft room. I don't have a measuring mat. I don't have a fancy cutter. Okay, well, I will say I love my Cutco scissors. So I use them to cut, and I have one of these little wire cutter thingies. I call it a thingy to cut into my pipe cleaners later on to take off the excess. Now, I didn't even have all of the color I needed. I normally just have one color pipe cleaners, but great, I get to show you, this is real reality over here. I will go back and forth between the different colors, and you don't even see the mesh once you get the ribbons and the sign and everything on it, so it really doesn't matter most of the time. But you don't want like black pipe cleaners with this lavender and pink. So I have pink, lavender, and white here, and I'm gonna make it work. Also, how I measure everything. And now if you're not going to craft on your floor, you have a counter or table you're going to use, great. Sounds great. You could take a ruler I would use a tape measure. Measure out your 12 inches, your 10 inches, whatever videos you want to watch that aren't mine, or, because I kind of give basic stuff. I don't like have exact formulas. I'm just crafting and having fun and showing you what I do. But you can measure out your different measurements with a piece of painter's tape, the blue painter's tape. Throw it on your counter or your table up until you want to buy. If you want to buy one of those fancy mats with all the little measurements, but I don't feel like I need it. I craft on my floor. I watch TV while I'm crafting. I actually have a method to hold my mesh. This is hilarious. I put the mesh on the outside of my thigh on the floor, and I just keep pulling at it as I need. I love it. My mesh doesn't get caught up anywhere, and it has good give, and it's being held in place somewhere instead of rolling all over the place. But I've seen people who are professionals, they have fancy rolls they're pulling from and all kinds of stuff. So, but I keep things basic and simple. And I measured the lines on my floor. There's 7.5 inches in between each line. So that's how I measure out my ruffles, my curls, whatever I'm doing. But for now, we're not measuring. We are just grabbing the end and getting it started. A lot of people use, oh my gosh, I can't even talk. I'm trying to make a video. Let's just start. I'm going to wrap this around and go really, really tight and go underneath. For my first time, I want to wrap it nice and good. This is the way I do it. And then I will go down on that first 2 sections of the loop and come back up around and twist around it. This is just how I start it. And then I'll make sure that gets trimmed at the end where it needs to and whatnot. There's a little bit of fraying. I'm just going to cut a little bit off there. Alexis. Okay. A lot of people you'll see on their YouTube videos use zip ties. There we go. Whoa. Of course, my very first video, and I'm like confusing myself. I really pulled out my mesh too much. There we go. Now, when I do my loops, I measure everything with a pipe cleaner. The pipe cleaner I'm about to use to attach it. So I'm going to grab this light pink one. I am going to take one end, put it against where I started. Actually, where I started is right there. Then I'm going to go up to the end of that. Usually my foot's not there. And then I'm going to grab and gather. This is very small. It's not like a big mesh. If it was a big mesh, I have to grab and gather it up, but pretty easy.
Then we are going to use the same pipe cleaner we just used to measure that first loop. I'm gonna fold it in half, bring it up to those last two rings on my frame, twist it once, twist it twice. Okay, I will not be untwisting it again. I hear people say all the time because they have the fancier mesh wreath frames, but I don't need to do that. Now I'm gonna have 3 loops on this outer, on each section. There's the 6 sections. Okay, I just used pink, so I'm gonna go ahead and use white. I have very little of those dark lavender ones that are kind of almost fuchsia. I usually craft with my legs open, but I wanted to be appropriate, so I put my foot there. So I actually am crafting different than I normally would in terms of being comfortable. But I don't want to have anything it shouldn't be showing. Although I am fully clothed, I promise. 1, 2. Okay, I may have to reassess how I'm doing this. I think I need to just make sure I scoot back. I'm gonna do it the way I want to. Okay. Well, you can't see anything. Once again, I'm fully dressed, but I'm gonna be way more comfortable like this. Okay, you figure out what works for you, and most people don't craft on their floor. They're on counters or tables. This is just me. Okay, next. Start from where I last was, come up, find the end, grab it, pull gently, fold this in half, bring it up, and it's not perfectly to the half. Oh my gosh, and it doesn't matter because I don't even need this much. I'm going to cut off excess in the end after I add my ribbons. I tend to try to pull these towards the outer part because since I'm doing 3 rows, at some point it's going to be hard to find where your pipe cleaners go, where they're attached to. So I'm trying to keep these outer. The ones in the innermost wreath I'll push towards the inner, and then the middle ones I'll have sticking up because I don't want to get confused when I'm arranging my ribbons at the end and whatnot. Okay, so I've got 3 loops right here on my outer first section, and then I'm just going to keep going. And it's not exact science. It's okay if it's like not 100% like I'm just kind of making sure I kind of know where the end is. I want my loops to pretty much look even, but you see me quickly grabbing. Usually I wouldn't be moving as slow. Usually I'm a little faster, and I'm watching a movie and I'm not trying to look up at my phone above me and make sure that everything looks okay. But yes, this is going to be a little more time consuming than using the bigger mesh, number 1, and number 2, you're spending about the same anyways, if you want a full wreath. I know there are people that do it different, and they, they're saving money, and they're keeping it nice and simple. I want my wreath to be full, whether it's with Dollar Tree mesh or regular mesh. But I use Dollar Tree mesh because, sometimes I didn't get to the craft store, or sometimes, well, just for the record, I live closer to a Dollar Tree than Michael's or Joann's. They're not that far. And Hobby Lobby a little farther than all of them. Okay, I think I can use one of these now. I just, whoa, it's getting stuck to my pajamas, and I pulled on it and it went away from my leg. Well, at least you see, who needs perfection? Let's show you realistically how it works so that when you go to do it, you're like, okay, well, Vitalia wasn't perfect, so I don't have to be perfect. Ha ha ha. And your wreath will still be fine, even if you have a few little fun things happening during it. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And yes, I count and make sure. I'm almost to the end, and I'm still counting, making sure I've got my exact number of loops. When I use bigger mesh, I don't have to count or make sure or anything. But when I'm using Dollar Tree mesh, because of how thin and little it is, because of how full I want it to be, yes, I'm going to sit here and count and make sure I have my loops perfect just for the outer ring. When I get to the middle and inner, you don't have to do that because it's like every other opening that you're doing it. Because I have 3 loops here, so I'm going to do a loop here, a loop here, a loop here, a loop here with my next row. Okay, I grabbed white this time. So I keep wanting to show people how to do things, and so I thought I'm going to post some videos to YouTube, and here I am trying to make this, and I am so not professional. I'm not, oh my gosh, there's this lady I follow on Facebook, and she sings to everybody, and she's so adorable, and she does lives, and she's saying hi and chatting and reading all the comments while she's making the wreaths. She is the cutest thing ever. Crafty Max LLC, since I'm mentioning her, I love watching her. Even though I have not tried to make a wreath like her, she's amazing, and I love her. She's the best. Her personality, oh my gosh, everyone wants to watch her. So I gotta work on the whole, I mean, not that my personality is not vivacious, ha ha ha. I've got a personality, that's for sure. But I'm not professional. I don't have it all down packed. This is my very first YouTube video. I hope I don't get all these people like, you suck. Like, please be nice. It's my first one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. One more over here. And look, a professional would know that there's still space there for their third loop. So, you know, just me. And usually I don't have all my mesh in the way. So I'm going to move these over. You've already seen them. Okay. So I did pink, I do white. On the off chance that there's a teeny tiny dot shown of pipe cleaner, I am trying to like make them sort of evened out on every other, since I'm not using the same color all around. Like that purple Dollar Tree wreath that I was showing you, it was purple pipe cleaner all around. I use pipe cleaner so often that I love crafting and making wreaths. So anyways, yeah, that blended in much better on the other one. This one, the colors will match the sign at least. So no matter what, it'll match the sign. It'll match the ribbons for the sign. And I'm going to have to do a different video for ribbons because I already know this is taking too long. And this is just getting the mesh on the frame. But I really hope that someone finds this helpful. Even if one person finds it helpful, then I'm happy. Because a lot of people are posting in this wreath making Facebook page how they want to get started, how they'd like to use Dollar Tree mesh, how they're not sure how to make their bubbles. And you know, look, my bubbles are moving all around. So see, realistic stuff going on. And I constantly will like go and try to fix them. At the very end, I'll make sure, even where they're twist tied at the pipe cleaner, I can kind of use that spot to retwist my loop so that it's open and facing open and up the way I'd like it to be. But once you have it all made and you have all the ribbons everywhere and the 3 rows of the mesh, I promise it's going to look great. This doesn't have ribbons or a sign, but it's all nice and full. It is ready for all the prettiness to be added. I just have not cut up all my ribbons for it yet. And I wanted to do my very first YouTube tutorial to help out some people. Okay, doing the white. Maybe I could hurry up and get this going. So I live in Northern California. It's been almost 2 years. In April, it'll have been 2 years since we moved from Southern California, which is where I'm really from. And I miss Southern California, although I love where I'm at now. I'm in this sweet little town. Really nice town. Really good school district. Really wonderful people. I've met a lot of good friends. The first thing I needed when I moved here was a bunco group. Here's my personality if you don't know me. I went on YouTube into a local moms group and I was like, hi, let me tell you all about myself. I am looking for friends. And the coolest thing happened. People like responded. I'm like, I have Boy Scouts. I love bunco. I love to craft. I mean, I don't remember everything I said. I love movies. I love karaoke. So I was telling all about my family so that, you know, anybody who had anything in common with me and was willing to, you know, meet up or make friends, you know, would let me know. And lots of people commented. And one lady actually got me started in our new Boy Scout troop for my 15-year-old. My oldest is 20. He's an Eagle Scout. And I have a 15-year-old, and we'll see. I'm not going to push him or pressure him. We'll just see what he does. And yes, my dorky self is going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So anyways, one lady was like, hey, I have a bunco group here. And I'm like, yay! And she's like my bestest friend up here now. So it's really cool. I made friends with some moms from my youngest son's classroom. My youngest is 9 years old. He is the sweetest, cuddliest kid. And he has autism, and he is mostly nonverbal. So I made friends with moms from his classroom. But my bestest friend is the very first one that responded, and she was like, I've got a bunco group. And I was like, yay. Okay, so we ran out at the end here, and this is kind of rinky dinky. So I'm not going to cut it yet. I'm going to wait till I've double tightened the next spot on here to start, and then cut it. So here we go. Starting a new one right here. So we have, what, a little less than 2 sections left. So I kind of try to grab a little extra out. I don't want to make it where I pull too tight, I cut too soon or too short, and then my mesh falls out of my wreath. That would be horrible. So I'm going to go really tight, do a third one on there. And then I will push this through to the back. And at the very end, I like trim stuff, but I'm gonna trim this real quick because it's like really long and annoying in frame. I'll trim stuff and arrange it in the back and make it all nice and neat. And you'll see at the end when I arrange my pipe cleaners, you can see them in the back, and I kind of fold and cut them, but I don't have them like sticking out crazy in the back. Although if you look at some of my old wreaths, because I'm a work in progress, we all are. We're always learning, right? And figuring out what works for us and what seems better. I have some pipe cleaners that are sticking out in the back of some wreaths. This is bothering me. With Dollar Tree mesh and even the more expensive mesh, you'll find little pieces sticking out. Drives me crazy. Okay, make sure that's sticking there. It helps me stay organized for later. Here's this. Okay. And grab it up again, fold it in half. I actually use my pipe cleaners to measure my ribbons. I only use the floor when I'm measuring mesh to cut it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You do not have to keep counting 1, 2, 3. That's me. I'm a dork. I'm trying to make sure that it's as good as possible. If you're the type that like you have a great eye and you know what you're doing and you know where it's going to fit, you don't have to count. I don't count with the bigger mesh. I'm more confident with it. I already know it's going to fill up really nicely. I already know what I'm doing and where I'm going with it. It's not that I don't know what I'm doing with this. I'm just wanting to make sure that everything fits and that it is as full as possible. I have that dark one there. I have very few dark ones. So I'm going to kind of like have them across from each other every other ring and just, you know, so it's kind of evened out, spaced out evenly, however I want to say it. Grab, got my loop, fold in half. With the bigger mesh, of course, there's some bubbling as you're grabbing and different things, and I'll have different YouTube videos to show how I do that because, you know, there are so many amazing crafters, way better than me, way more professional than doing it way longer, and they have YouTube videos. But I found when I first was starting to learn and watch YouTube videos that sometimes I couldn't figure out what someone was doing, or I would watch and I just couldn't make it happen the way they were. And so I found what worked for me after watching like 20 YouTube videos on the exact same wreath, but from different people. Like I found lots of people. I sat there like in the wee hours of the morning. I don't know what time it is right now. I don't know if I can see it on my phone. Nope, I cannot right now. In any case, I am up from anywhere from 3 to 5 a.m. right now until spring forward, and then I get to go back to 4 to 6. I teach English classes online virtually part-time, like maybe 1 to 2 classes actually a day, but every once in a while there's 3 or 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, my last one. So I'm not going to fold this last one. I'm going to take my loop and attach it to that first one. So I have white here, so we have pink. Oh, and there's a white there. Look at that. Of course, 18 is an even number. 6 sections times 3 loops. You have 18 loops on this outer ring. Boop. Then you'll have 12 loops in the middle ring and 6 loops on the last ring. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Okay. Now, you can cut. I found for a while it was harder for me to keep going this way. Somehow I'd have this weird loop in here and it didn't look right with the rest. It just messed me up. And so I was cutting it here and then restarting every time. But I figured out a way to make myself happy. I can't just make a loop here coming from here to here. For me, it messes me up. It just doesn't go with everything. So what I'm going to do, let me grab a white one, is first I'm going to measure. Well, no, I'm not going to measure. I apologize. I'm trying to tell you how I restart. Because I keep looking back and forth at my phone and everything, I'm confusing myself. So I'm going to start my first loop right here, in between this middle loop here. Go in using those middle 2 bars, and I'm not doing a loop here yet. I'm just attaching it, and then it's like I restarted over here, but I didn't have to cut. And these I'm going to have sticking straight up. Okay, did that make sense? I hope you can see it. So I stretched it across. Here's my next section. When I use bigger mesh, I only do the outer and the inner. I don't have to do 3 rows. It's going to be full. But this is Dollar Tree mesh, and we want it to look as nice and full and thick as possible. Okay, keep going. So I'm going to have 2 loops per wreath here. I'm sorry, per section here. Gosh, how do people do this and not mess up? How are they perfect and articulate? I guess because they've been doing it for a long time. So I like to have my pipe cleaners not fall right in front. I like them in between, so I find in the middle of a loop. I hope you can see. See, I don't even know how people do this. I'm trying to go back and forth, look at the phone, make sure you can see what I'm doing, and then two. Now, there are times, even with bigger mesh, where I make my loops a little smaller as I go in, but for this one, because I want to be super full, I'm just gonna make them all the same pipe cleaner length. So that was a pink one. Let's do a white one. Whoops, I pulled it on accident. I kind of let it hit the edge there. Grab here. Fold this in half. Okay, so we are going in between these two middle rings. I keep like trying to think about what I'm gonna say. Like, I hope there's no fancy terminology I need to have, but truthfully, this video is not for you if you're a professional or if you already understand all the fancy terminology. I don't know if you notice, I'm trying to make sure this is not right on that one, so I moved it over a little. Okay, whoop, whoop, whoop. Next one, oh, I already have white. Let's do this pink. By the way, if you were thinking that I am colorblind and don't know my colors, I know this is like almost like a fuchsia. I'm just calling it lavender because, well, I don't know why, truthfully. Wait, what was I going to use? I was going to use pink because I see that fuchsia looking one over there. Okay, in between these middle two poles. And yes, someone who's been doing this longer and has their professional videos will also be faster at this too. So I don't know how long it would take. I kind of feel bad. But if you stay with me the whole time, then you really wanted to learn this way. That one seems a little bit bigger, and I don't know if I grabbed it different, but I noticed right away. So, you know, as you're going along, if you did that, I just undid my little twist. I'm going to gently pull because you don't want to pull while the twist is there. And actually, I'm going to start over with that one. I'm just going to start over and be perfect because I'm going back and forth looking at my phone. Just pull it because it's not 100% straight. Right there. La la la. Sometimes you'll find that maybe it doesn't look exactly like the others. Do they have to be exactly? No, I was saying that at the beginning, right? But if it's really noticeable, of course I'm going to fix it. You don't want to pull while the pipe cleaner is already closed in the mesh because the mesh frays are really easy. And then, you know, okay, it's fine. Yes, I totally like redid that, and you're probably going to rewind and go, she measured the exact same way. What is wrong with this girl? But hey, you know, at least I'm giving you a realistic, down-to-earth view of crafting. Okay, where's my next in-between point? It's right there. Where do you move over here? My two inner rings. I used to do the outer and the inner and then fit in the middle, but wait, I felt myself loosening as I was tightening. Okay. And then as I'm going along, I'll see that the pipe cleaners are already trying to wander around, so I just kind of make sure I have my sticking up, my back ones, and then, yeah, my forward ones. It's just easier when you go around, start adding your ribbons, because, especially me, I do every other, in terms of, some people do like 4 ribbons, and they'll have like 2 on this one, then the other 2 here, 2 in here, and 2 in here. Let me just be honest. I use like 12 ribbons. I want different colors everywhere. Sometimes I use 12, sometimes I've never used less than 8 though. Here's a wreath. I loved this sign, I loved all the colors. So I've got orange and this type of white. This is a different white with green, pink with another white, purple with another white. So the purple, the pink, the orange, and the green, and then I have 4 different whites. So I have 8 ribbons for that one. So you just never know. And then this one, I took thinner, this is 3 ribbons on just one spot. So I took different ribbons and like overlapped them. And since some of them were like thin and didn't have wire in them, I hot glued them in place where I wanted them. So they were strategically placed where I needed them. So you just, you know, you work with what you got and you do it how you want. But I love ribbons. So if you love ribbons, like me, you're gonna have a ton of different ribbons on your wreaths. And I need to know exactly where to place each set of ribbons. So I need my pipe cleaners to be nice and neat. Okay, in between these 2 right here, and in between the two rings. Yeah, totally missed that one. What's funny is I should be wearing reading glasses here when I'm looking closely at things, but I always forget. I never know where they are. 2. And yeah, I'm sort of fixing loops as I go, but as you're adding ribbons in later, plus you're going to add in things in between before the ribbons. Like on this one I have the rolls, but I want to do crinkles for this one. When you're adding your stuff in the middle and filling, plus then you're going to put ribbons, you're going to end up fixing and looking at your loops as you go along anyways. And at the very end, you're going to fluff out, make sure everything's perfect. I was at the end of that almost, so I was taking the mesh off the roll. Okay, see, look, this is trying to mix with this one. Okay, here's this. Grab. There's my loop. And yeah, I'm open to comments. So I should have, okay, hold on. Okay, we're going to count that as over there. We're going to count. I wasn't measuring out having the 2 for each section. I was just doing every other one on here, just assuming it would work out. But now I'm like looking, making sure I have everything. I'm like, uh-oh. Let's not mess it all up on our first tutorial video. And I'm one of those girls that doesn't like to redo things over and over again, so. Excuse me, you get the real me. Okay, I just sneezed. Sorry. I grabbed a big wipe up to the side real fast when And no, you should not be sneezing all over everything. I did make sure that I had my wrist up over my mouth, and I did make sure that I moved my face away. Watch the video later. Who knows what it looks like. Dun, dun, dun. I might have to make 20 videos and 20 different wreaths before I actually post one. Or I could just be real and post this one. 1, 2. Mesh will try to stick into your loops, of course, because it's fun that way. I'm at the end of this one, and the end is looking all kinds of crazy to me, so let's see if I can get one more loop out of this. Here we go, right there. It was jumping. And yes, it will gather and pull at each other. I mean, the different loops will pull at each other. You'll have frayed pieces here and there, and you just figure things out, cut off the frays. There are people that have burning tools and all kinds of fancy schmancy things. I don't feel I need them. Yeah, I guess it makes your life easier. It's kind of like you buying Pampered Chef products. Do you need those Pampered Chef products that are so fancy schmancy and make your life easier? I mean, I could cut, my tomato with a knife just fine. But if I have a Pampered Chef mandolin, it's a little fancy schmancier. Can't want to cut yet until I add my next thing. So I am already starting my third roll. Just to give you kind of a idea. Kind of an idea. 1, 2. Okay, let me grab this. Make sure we push that down to the back. Deal with it over there. Bum, 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 bum. Whoop. You don't have too much pulling or too much messing with things. You don't want stuff to fray too much. Okay, we definitely need to cut the end of this one. My sweater is kind of catching onto the mesh a little bit. Okay, don't cut your other loops on accident. I always try to make sure I know where I'm cutting, and then I'm being safe and careful with my mesh. Don't want to cut up the wreath that's not even finished yet, right? You're barely making it. Okay, so pink, white. How long have we been doing this? 29 minutes. Oh my gosh, how did they do it within an hour? And that's with the sign and the ribbons and everything. I know that sometimes they quicken things up, but because this is a very basic, very beginner tutorial that I hope will be helpful with the Dollar Tree mesh. I don't want to like quicken it up, and I don't want to, but that means you have to listen to me talk your ear off, watch me second guess myself on things. But hey, the one thing I could promise is I'm going to be real. Okay, let's do one of these ones, this dark one. Whoop, to-do, to-do, to-do. To-do, 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 to-do. So I was supposed to be measuring like 2 for each section in the middle. I hope I kind of still am. Wait, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Guess what? I'm gonna have 1 extra in the middle. Oh my gosh, I lied. It's not 2. Somehow when I started, I just wasn't paying attention and doing, I don't know what I was doing. But I have that happen often, which is why I always have extra mesh on me, and I'm not gonna go back and fix it. I actually am okay. I think I'm gonna still share and post this video and be like, look, this is a realistic wreath making experience. I am not an over professional. I have my methods, but I want to share while I'm learning what I'm learning as I'm learning. So, as long as you're not somebody who is super judgmental. No offense if you judge. Doesn't mean you're super judgmental, but, sorry if you don't like my tutorial. That's okay. This was for the basic starting off, figuring out how to make a wreath with Dollar Tree mesh type of gal that is okay with someone who talks too much and that has maybe a little too much personality at times. Do. Okay, here's this. Here's, So we've been in COVID. Well, we've been, in the COVID situation, so we've been at home a lot, so I ended up making a lot of wreaths for Christmas, but then I loved it so much that now I'm over here acting crazy and making lots more. However, school's going to start back up tomorrow, so we'll see what happens. I am supposed to start student teaching. I was supposed to have started student teaching over a year ago, but I keep getting sub jobs that I really love, and I had a long-term sub job, and I loved it. The problem is when you take sub jobs at schools you love, with all the classrooms that you love, you're missing out on your student teaching. At least that's me. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I am ending up with 13. I apologize. I thought I had it all perfect to a science. No, I didn't. I never have anything perfect to a science. I just want to have fun and craft and make it look good in the end, no matter what happens along the way. So be okay with possible, dents in the system. Because, oh my gosh, I was watching all those videos and then trying to replicate exactly what they were doing. My mesh keeps catching on my sweater. And I couldn't do it exactly like everybody else. I had to find my way, and that's okay. You might watch mine and go, OMG, she is not the girl that I'm going to learn from. I'm going to find my way with somebody else, and that is okay. I cannot be everyone's cup of tea. Oh my gosh, I love tea parties, by the way. Not because I love tea. I mean, I like tea. I like fruity tea with lots of sugar, which is bad for you, I know. But I love the tea party aspect. I love the flowers and the big hats and, yeah, all the fun of it. Okay, I know for sure I only did 1 loop on each section. I have not perfected my Dollar Tree wreath 100%, obviously, but I've perfected enough where I'm happy and I want to share with others, because I see Dollar Tree mesh wreaths that people are trying to make, and you can see the wire. It's not full, and we want full wreaths regardless of what kind of mesh we use, right? Okay. Thought for later, get my little cushion next time. Sometimes I sit on a cushion so I'm comfortable. Okay, so literally now I am going to pay attention. I'm literally just going to get the middle of each section and get the inner 2 most rings. It's still my pipe cleaner's length of a loop. And then I will kind of stretch them out in the end. I actually kind of stretch out the loop to kind of just make sure I'm covering up that inside part a little bit. because it does not have to fully like, hey, maybe you decide you want like 3 rows per each section on all 3 sets. You could do that too. Or 3 rows in the back and 3 rows in the middle. But when I did that, I found that my middle section, when I had, I'm sorry, I said middle. 3 rows on the outside and 3 rows on the inside. When I did that, I found that the middle still had some open spare spaces. And so I was putting loops here and there to fit. So for me, what I found was do my 3 loops per section in the outermost section, then do, you know, I was trying to do 2. Whoops, pink. I was trying to do 2 loops per section, but apparently I needed 1 extra this time. Who knows if I needed it last time? You never know. And then it seemed to be fine doing 1 loop per section for this last set. So there's 6 sections, so there should only be 6 loops. And I feel like it's good enough, and I twist it out a little, and it like fills in on the inside just a little bit. And then we're still going to put things in between, more mesh in between each spot. You could do either the rolls or the ruffles. I hope they're called ruffles. There's so many names. Crinkles and cruffles and ruffles, and I'm like, whoa. And then everybody's like, well, which way are you doing it? And they have like so many different names. I'm like, I don't even know the different names. I just kind of like go with it and see what I like, right? Okay, that's a middle loop that is posing as an inner loop and confusing me for a sec there. So I'm gonna put it back in its place. Go back to where you go. Ha ha ha. Okay, this is the next section right here. That looks like the middle of it. Looks good right there. 2 innermost rings. And I am sort of looking up here and there, and I hope that everything's looking okay. I don't know if I should have been closer with the camera, but work in progress, learning. I might have made that a little bigger than needed, but since it's the inner loop and I'm going to stretch them out, I'm okay. Make sure that's standing straight up and that's in. Those are in. Standing straight up, those are in. It just helps later on when you're adding stuff, I promise. That's standing straight up, that's in. Okay, figuring out where I'm going. So I have 3 out of my 6 inner loops. I'm almost done. Oh, because of that extra one, I need another pipe cleaner. Oh my gosh. Dun, dun, and no one is awake. Oh wait, I think I have some extra pipe cleaners over here. We're going to cheat and use a purple pipe cleaner. But the lavender's close enough. There is purple in the sign. And like I said, I'm really going to make sure that we don't see our pipe cleaners in the end. I will have to do a different YouTube video where I show you how I pick out my ribbons and cut them and arrange them. Because, yeah, this is too long. Where are we at? 37 minutes. Oh my gosh, I need to hurry up and show you how to fill in the inside, right? Okay. Bum, bum, bum. And yes, the mesh keeps catching on itself. So you're going to be fixing here and there, pulling off here and there. It's just the way it is, especially Dollar Tree mesh. But I see comments from people and posting, it's the worst mesh ever. It's not easy to work with, blah, blah, blah. You know, I get it. It is not the easiest, but it's not that bad. And yeah, it frays a little, but it's really, yeah. You can still make a wreath. You'll still be fine. I'm gently kind of pulling. Here's my one dark purple. And I will make sure that's covered. That's for sure. Ha. So here's this. 1, 2. So this video will be the mesh all around, and then I'll have one video where I talk about how I do the sign and how I fill in with the ribbons. And then I'll do a different video for a bow if I'm using a bow. Sometimes I use a bow, sometimes I don't. That's a middle one. So I have to remind myself where I'm at and what I'm doing. Last loop. And you can always go back and arrange your loops, face them a little bit better. Pull them where you need to. Oh, I don't need an extra. Oh, I'm so smart. I didn't need an extra. I have it right here. And yeah, stretch out, move in, whatever you need to do to make your loops look nice and pretty and fluffy and fancy and face the way you want them. Okay, that came out pretty good. Okay, I have this extra little. Okay. I just want to make sure this is nice and tight on the end. Just for the record, there are people that do zip ties at the end and at the beginning just to make sure that their stuff is good to go. I feel like as long as I pull tight enough with my pipe cleaners that it's totally fine. I haven't had any wreaths come apart yet, and I've been doing this for about a year now. Okay, here we go. A year is not long though, so if you know people have been doing it for years and years and years that have YouTube videos, you can tell them and you guys can laugh at me, okay? but I have wreaths from last year. It's still sitting in my garage, looking just fine. I actually went through my wreaths from last year. I'd watched a bunch of new videos this year, learned some better stuff and some newer ideas and wanted to try out stuff. And I actually undid half the wreaths from last year and redid them and like upgraded them, is what I say. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell where the beginning is. So yeah, I'm over here like trying to fluff and twist and just make sure everything's looking good or as good as possible. But once you add in all your extra stuff and your ribbons, it is, you know, it's going to work out. It's going to be fine. But I love the way the mesh looks right now. This does not look like I used Dollar Tree mesh, does it? It's like pretty full just for the mesh. But yeah, I did the 3 rows. I just wanted to make sure I had it nice and full. Okay, here we go. Bloop, 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 bloop. Okay. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Uh-oh, something happened. Guess what? I just talked it up this whole time about how you don't need a zip tie, and my beginning one fell out, or one fell out where I restarted. Is that not the craziest thing after I said that? And I've never had that happen yet. We're gonna tighten that real good. Wow, that's crazy. I sometimes will grab a zip tie. I just haven't had to. I think I was pulling too tight on it. And I like pulled it out. That's weird. Okay, well, don't listen to me. Use zip ties if you want, or if you're really good at tightening your pipe cleaners. I don't know if you noticed, sometimes I was looser and I didn't tighten it as well. So I tried to like fix it myself as I was going along. I like undid it and redid it again. I haven't had that happen, I promise. But you know what? It might happen to you. So I'm glad it happened to me so that you can, you know, be aware that that could happen. But is it the end of the world? No. Everything is fixable. That's how I feel. Everything is fixable. Even a wreath that's been sitting in the garage for months, maybe it didn't sell. I can go upgrade it. I can go make it look better. Actually, half the wreaths I make, I don't sell. They end up being gifts, or I keep them. I love them. I'm not a huge salesperson. I'm kind of too busy to bother trying too hard. But I'm wanting to do these YouTube videos, and I was thinking of starting an Etsy account and selling wreaths on Etsy. So we'll see what happens, but it would have to be super part-time, just in my free time for fun, since I'm up early. After my English classes, I usually can't fall back asleep, so I have a couple hours in the morning where I get to just have a quiet house, everybody's sleeping. Okay, I love it. I'm excited. Okay, so we didn't use that one. I'm a dork, but that's okay. Moving on, now we need curls or ruffles. I want ruffles for this one. I'm gonna set this over here. Oh my gosh, I'm putting it on top of wreaths. Ah, it's gonna be fine, I promise. Okay, so like I said, I use my floor for measuring. Now here's the thing, when you're cutting them, and look as I'm pulling out, I don't know if you can see, there's like frays everywhere. I mean, it's, you know, it's, yeah. Anyways, because it's so thin, this isn't like the fancy schmancy mesh you're gonna buy. Oh, I don't have a Walmart version that's this. Not Walmart, I'm sorry, Michael's. So Michael's sells them this height, but it's a thicker, better quality mesh, slightly better. So it'll be like this, but it'll be, I could open this, but it will be more mesh on the roll, be a little thicker than the Dollar Tree mesh, and it seems to not fray as much as you pull it out. It's just a little, you know, better quality. So with this one, I don't do exactly 10 inches. You will like watch videos where they're like 10 inches everything, or 13 inches, or whatever they're saying. Well, because I want to crinkle it and not roll it, I'm not gonna do 10 inches anyways. So 2 of these spots in my floor is 15 inches, and I think I want a little more than 2. So I'm not gonna do exactly 2, because look at this end. It's like curved, it's not perfectly straight. It's all fraying already. It looks kind of crinkly. It doesn't look that great. So I do give myself a little give. So if you're not giving yourself give, maybe you could use 10, rolls of Dollar Tree mesh instead of 11, but I give myself grace, knowing that I need some extra space. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of go around and just kind of, just get rid of the overly crazy, wayward stuff, mesh pieces coming out. Okay, I don't know if that's a big no-no to the professionals, but my wreaths come out fine in the end. So I need to cut a bunch of these. So I actually have 36 spots there I need to fill in instead of 30. Did I say 36? I was counting 36. I was counting 18 plus 12 plus 6 in my head was, you know, because 12 plus 6 is 18. 18 plus 18 is 36. but I think I have an extra loop, so I think I have 37 I need to fill in. So usually I would cut about 10 inches, a little bit more. So it'd be like 1.5 of mine. So probably about just a little bit less than what I have now. And I would just roll them. And you make 2 to 3 rolls, just tight little rolls, and then you attach them in each section. But I don't want to do rolls. I want to do ruffles. I think they're called ruffles. Everybody has a different name for everything. So in the middle, I'm going to start and just keep grabbing and gathering. I try to keep my gathers to stay in the middle as I'm pulling at it. I just think these are so cute. If you have bigger, thicker mesh, these could be so much fancier and better, but that's okay. And normally I would wait and cut all my stuff first and then do it, but I just want to show you what I'm going to do with it first. Because maybe I won't waste your time making the video of you watching me cut every single one. So I tightened it twice in there, and I'm just going to kind of fluff it in the middle there. I love having these little crinkles. I love using the rolls sometimes too, but I want crinkles for this one. I just feel like it makes it a little fancy free. I've got my little love heart that I'm going to use. I just think it's so cute. So this is a crinkle. There's a little bit of some extra stuff sticking out. Mwah. And then on each crinkle, of course, I'll have my ribbons. Oh my gosh. Yes, you were going to make cuts and fixes as you're making it. But see, there's a ruffle. Let me do another one for you. Dun, dun, dun. And I have lavender and pink, so I'm going to go back and forth and do a pink ruffle and then a lavender ruffle, a pink ruffle and then a lavender ruffle. Because I kind of like having different things and experimenting sometimes. So I'm doing a little bit more than the 15. It's probably like 17 inches. Okay, I'm going to show you a little trick when I'm done with this. Wait, I grabbed pink when I meant to grab lavender. Ha ha! That's okay, we'll do 3. Let's pull that up to the side. Let's grab lavender. I'm overthinking everything. La 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 la. Okay, so about here. There are better ways to measure and figure things out. This is just, it works for me and I'm fine for now. When I have a bigger house and I have a craft room and all that, blah, blah, blah. Okay. La la la. Find the middle. And then I'm just grabbing. Sometimes this will come up and try to come closer to you sooner. And you're like, go away, just wait a second. When I'm using bigger mesh, I'll like grab a pair of scissors and or a spool of ribbon and hold the other end as I'm crinkling, because I like make bigger, larger crinkles for things with bigger mesh. So I got my little Lulu, and I'm going to cut off those excess little fun wayward pieces. Okay, so I just did pink. I always try to be careful as I put wreaths on top of wreaths. For some reason, I lost my middle spot. Do I need to redo that? No, I'm fine. Okay. Go in the middle here. Can you see what I'm doing? Yes, I think so. 1. I'm going to go really tight. 2. And it's a little bit of waywarding going on here. I'm not going to cut the pipe cleaner. Ah! By the way, once I add my ribbons, then I cut the pipe cleaners with these. I cut them super short. That'll be a different video. Ha ha ha. Okay, let's do one more. In the middle, and I'm just pinching and grabbing. Pinch, grab. So I stick my nails in the next spot, grab and pinch. Find the next spot, grab and pinch. It's about an inch, grab and pinch. And trying to staying in the middle of the whole entire piece. Point, grab, pinch. Point, grab, pinch. Or position, grab, pinch. Position, grab, pinch. Find your position, grab it, pinch it. Find your position, grab it, pinch it. Did you need me to do that slow thing? I don't know, but I only did 2 for you so far, and maybe you've never done a mesh wreath before and you're like, hey, this was a beginner one, you better give some better explanation. So just in case that was helpful. If not, that's okay. And like I said, you can do the 2 to 3 rolls in between. I like changing it up every time, by the way. I always want to do something different. I like to experiment. And there's so many different ways you can make a wreath with mesh. I mean, there's so many ways to make a wreath anyways. Like, you can use the greenery. You can do grapevine wreaths. You can do the foam wreaths. I mean, there's just, whoa. Wait, did I do it wrong? Where's my lavender? What did I do? I couldn't see the lavender. I put the pink on top of the lavender. Once again, realistic video on what could really happen, especially if you're trying to do a tutorial and you're not paying attention. So because it's lavender and it matches and blends in, I was like looking, I'm like, wait a second, something's wrong. The pink shouldn't be right next to the pink. Could I have done all pink in between? Maybe. So I work with what I have. I don't have enough pink to have done that. I don't have enough lavender to have done all lavender. I work with what I got and I make things work, and I go every other and do just like with the pipe cleaners. So realism. Now these are going to start to spread apart just a little bit. I know, but it'll be okay. It'll be okay in the end. It works out. Let me once again show you this. Now remember, these are rolls, not ruffles in the middle, but it's all full. And then of course, eventually we'll put ribbons in. Do I have a Dollar Tree one with ribbons? Not at the moment. This is using the 10-inch long mesh. This came out. I love the way these are, but it's the same. It's this one. It's a little bit bigger, a little longer, a little thicker. And then I did the crinkle, and you can't really tell. Maybe it blends in too much because it's the same color, but I love the crinkles in the bigger mesh. I love the way they come out. I wish I had a better, I don't know if you can see. But see, you got your crinkles, it spread it out a little, but it doesn't matter. You end up adding your ribbons, and you know, I put a sign, I made a bow, bam. Anyways, I'm done with this video, and I hope you tune in for more, and I hope you like this video. We'll see. My kids are constantly judging how many likes and dislikes a YouTube video has. I hope you have a wonderful day. Here's what we have. I did not finish filling in. I am going to go and fill it all in and then make a new YouTube video probably tomorrow for ribbons, bow, and sign. Thank you.